Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Well, happy Wednesday evening. As you can tell, really disjointed opening. I don't often do a live in the evening. Yes, transfer updates, because there's quite a few today, and I think there's some things that have been taken out of context that if you actually read the transcript, the meaning is completely different. So I'm going to be going through interest in Matheus Cunha, interest in Marc, the keeper situation, Ben Davies getting a new contract. Like, there's so much to go through, and I'm not going to dilly-dally. I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to get straight in there and talking about it. Just want to say, if you're watching this, you're new, subscribe. If you haven't join us for the journey. Well done, Davies, by the way, on the table tennis thing. Don't worry, I have read it all. Evening, Spurs, mate. How are we? Evening, Barney. Or morning to yourself, Barney. I have also just put in, I've pinned, the previous video today if you've missed it, but also the Discord if you do want to join it. Let's talk about Spurs. Let's talk about some transfers. Come on. So Graham Belly saying that it was on Marc Guehi, and actually said that Chelsea are very interested in bringing the player back to Chelsea. Obviously, he moved Crystal Palace from Chelsea. They also says that Newcastle will remain interested, but a January deal is definitely unlikely. And Spurs have joined the club, checking in on the England star. Now, we've talked about Marc Guehi on this channel quite a few times, actually, and is a player that I think actually, as time's gone by, I have liked more and more of him. I think he would suit Ange completely. You know, the ability to play the high line, decent enough on the ball. Obviously, you'd improve a lot more the more you do it in terms of playing out from the back. So I like the move. Obviously, look, the move is not a cheap one. He's going to cost crazy money, and if you think about it, if you're signing Marc Guehi, then you probably are selling Christian Romero. That is the nail in that coffin. So I think it's unlikely, personally. I don't think Spurs go this route. I think Spurs go more of maybe the Mickey van der Ven, Radu Dragic age route of sort of younger 20s. Established probably wasn't the right thing to say about Radu. Mickey was probably a little bit more established, but I think probably what I would say is someone in their younger 20s, so there's a lot more room to grow. And obviously, you know, for the higher ups, obviously, it's a lot cheaper, you know. So I think that's the way they go with the centre-back role. So there's that on Marc Guehi. Take this one with a massive pinch of salt, because who it is and who it's on. But Matheus Cunha is on the radar of Tottenham, supposedly coming from Alex Crook, who works for TalkSport. Look, if I'm honest, I like Cunha. I think this season showed that he is such a key player for Wolves. The reason Wolves are having any success whatsoever is because Cunha is the guy right now. I mean, 13 games played in all competitions. One of them was a League Cup game where he's played 19 minutes, but 12 games played in the Premier League, 7 goals, 3 assists, so 10 goal contributions for a team, really, that isn't very good in Wolves. I mean, he's got 11 caps for Brazil as well, so that's nothing to scoff at. I mean, he's 25, maybe 26 at the end of the season. His contract does expire, though, in the summer of 2027, so I just can't see this one either. Cunha's gonna cost a crazy amount of money. I mean, Wolves supposedly paid up towards 50 million for him, 50 million euros. So it's about early 40 million pounds. They're going to be wanting 70 or 80. And let's be real, are Spurs doing that? Not at all. Not at all. Let's be real there. The only way it does happen is, you know, if Wolves do go down, or if Wolves want to cash in on his value now, but not a chance. Especially now, this is the key thing now. If you're buying in January, teams like Wolves or anyone that's maybe towards the bottom of the table, the value for staying into the value of staying in the Premier League, monetarily wise, is crazy compared to just 50, 60 million. You know, it's the same with Champions League football. It's crazy money. So I want to come on to a little bit of Ben Davies flavoured news. Jack Pittbrook of The Athletic saying that Spurs intend to trigger the option in Ben Davies' contract, keeping him at the club for next season. And I don't mind this deal, if I'm honest. I think this deal is a smart deal. I thought he'd move on in next year, and I always thought about that. But then the more I've thought about it, I don't hate this deal, if I'm honest, because Okay, no, he's not the most athletic in terms of plays, you know, Destiny doggy style football, but he's usable and serviceable. I think you would use that as maybe. Look, what I would say is I don't want the situation of him being the fourth centre back. Now, if he was the fifth centre back, and you maybe do then have a Vuskovic that comes into the group, or a Phillips even, because the amount we talk about Vuskovic, maybe Phillips overtakes. I mean, Stoke kept a clean sheet the other night, so nothing to scoff about there. But if Ben Davies is the fifth choice, I don't hate that. Is he the guy that I'd want being the backup left back? Very unlikely, but I don't hate the fifth choice option. I can see Spurs getting Cunha if Wolves get relegated. Well, we may agree there. Wouldn't Tomori from Milan be more an Ange type of defender? I think Guehi and Tomori are very similar in defensive ability. Even though I don't see us spending a lot in January, I don't see Leving doing it, to be honest. Well, we're going to talk about January in just a second, because the Times Sport put out that Spurs look to accelerate plans to sign another goalkeeper, obviously after Vicario's injury. Their preference is to bring forward plans to sign a long-term goalkeeper to provide competition with Vicario. But signing a more established goalkeeper could be difficult mid-season. If that proves to be the case, Spurs could be looking to make more of a stopgap signing. So, listening to what Ange said today, and he was talking about free agent signings. He said, it's not going to happen. That's why we've got a squad of players. I don't think signing a free agent helps. Me naming Fraser Forster in the Europa League squad looks like a radical decision now, doesn't it? Which, by the way, I quite liked. I quite liked his little bounce back there. But talking really about, January and keepers and what have you, it's been really talked about how January is a time where we're trying to add to the goalkeeper area. He was asked the question, does the goalkeeper situation change now in the January transfer window? He said, not from what happened now. We've got an injury, and I think any club that gets a significant injury in their goalkeeper kind of assesses where they're at. It's not just another injury, but at the same time, like I said, it's just one injury. We've been dealing with setbacks for a while. There's a lot of work. We talk about completed squads. We're 2 schoolboys on the bench at the weekend. We've been very shallow for quite a while. But because I don't come up here and highlight it every week, it doesn't dismiss the fact we've kind of learned to deal with these things. This is another challenge for us. January, we're always working towards the next window of what the best scenario is for us. And a lot of that will depend on where we're at from the squad perspective and the game's perspective. Just this injury doesn't change any plans for January. And I think one thing we would say is we will be active in the January transfer market when it comes to keepers, for sure. I hope we do go for Turkey in January. I don't know what's happening in that Leon world. It's just confusing me. Relegated or not, I don't really know. Agree with Andrew, we need to trust Forza. We do. Andrew said, look, we're not signing a free agent, which I actually concur with. I've been hyping up the idea of, Austin or Whiteman or someone being good enough to play minutes if necessary. And look, I talked about how it'd be nice to see one of them on Thursday night or tomorrow night. But, if the case is that we want to get Forster some reps ahead of Sunday, then we get Forster reps ahead of Sunday. There's no right answer in that situation, but there's also no wrong answer. If you give Austin minutes, then it builds up confidence and we get to see what we have in a competitive game. If you give Forster the minutes, he might be more comfortable come Sunday against Fulham. He shouldn't be pressed in terms of having the ball at his feet. He shouldn't be pressed. So that's going to be at least something we hold on to. Fulham might press him a little bit more. But look, you know what? It is what it is on that. I do think Spurs act in January. Who they act for is another question, because there was, Bazza obviously tagged me in it. I don't know who this is, but Chris Cowlan, apparently someone in the Spurs world. I don't know who it is personally. And, he reposted, but it is, again, from TalkSport. So let's just take this with a massive pinch of salt. Spurs are considering a move for Burnley's James Trafford in the January transfer window as they look to bring in a new goalkeeper following Vicario's injury. Sunderland's Anthony Patterson is also of interest. And I can't remember exactly what I said to Bazza when he tagged me in it. Here we go. I said, interesting if either would move, seeing as they start and are both in deep promotion/playoff runs. And this is the thing, they're both starting week in, week out for teams that are going to be fighting to come back into the Premier League via promotion or via playoffs. So I don't. It's such a hard one because I can see obviously the move in terms of you're bringing two guys in that the ability to maybe play in Europe or in play in cup competitions will be there. But will they leave their club? It's such an important time. I mean, what is the championship window like at the moment? Just so I have an idea. Championship window, championship table, sorry. So Burnley are second and Sunderland are third. They're both joint second on 33 points, 2 points behind Sheffield United are in first. I think Leeds play tonight. That's why Leeds have dropped. But if Leeds win tonight, they go back top. Josh Matheus, second top goal scorer in the championship. Fair enough. It's a tough one because obviously I can see it in terms of you are getting a championship goalkeeper, but also I would struggle because they are in such a good spot, those two teams. And I don't think either club are going to want to sell their number one keeper unless they get crazy money, which are you going to want to spend 30, 35 million on a backup goalkeeper? I don't see it happening. Forster needs to play tomorrow. Forster number one, Austin number two, but Forster needs game time, so we play tomorrow. Yeah, like I said, I can see it happening. Rumours that Spurs might go for Trafford from Burnley. There we go. Jay Trafford or the Sunderland goalie. There you go. Also French keeper, France number two. I don't know who it is, Jazz. I would take Joan Garcia from Espanyol. I can't see other coming. I think it'll be Franco. Look, I really don't know who they're going to go for. It's such a difficult thing to predict. It's just when you try and buy January time, you really want to be buying from a team that's like mid-table, where they're not going to be fighting for Europe. They're not going to be relegated, but they're going to get some good value out of a player. And, they get 6 months of, bringing up a new player, maybe from the academy side of things. Those two teams are both fighting to come back into the Premier League. Sunderland obviously were there a long time ago. Burnley were only there last season. So that's why I struggle with that. I don't know. I'm really struggling with it. I'd love to have a think about who it might be, but I'm really struggling with it. In terms of those moves I've just talked about with other players, Marc Guehi, that's a summer move if it is going to happen. I don't think that happens either. Same with Matheus Cunha. You're looking at two sides that are in the bottom half of the table. They've got to be obviously looking at making sure they are here next season in the Premier League. It's such a difficult month, January. That's why you're not ever going to sign 4 or 5 players in January. You'll sign 2, and I think this January transfer is Spurs sign 2 maximum, a defender and maybe a keeper. And if they were to move off of a Timo Werner, I actually don't see him getting replaced because of Yang coming in. So if Werner goes, Yang comes in, but then at the same time, Odebear's going to be gone a while. Get him out of the Europe squad, put Yang in instead of him. Because Yang's going to be here in a month's time. So at least we got someone coming in January. We know January 1st, someone is eligible to be back. I Googled retired goalkeepers and came across a recent photo of Neville Southall. Yeah, he's not fit to play, I can tell you that. Neville Southall, legend. Hey, Polly, how are you? Get Ashley back. Oh, yeah, I don't see Ashley coming back. You got a clean sheet yesterday, though, Polly. That's one for you. So, yeah, look, I don't know, really. It's a tough one. We'll have to wait and see. I'll keep my eyes out and ears to the ground on transfer-wise. But at least we've got about 5 weeks until... at least we've got 5 weeks until the January transfer window, because then at the same time, Johan Lang right now needs to not be taking weekends off. No offense, but he just needs to be at this. For him and Levy need to be at this data system, pulling up a goalkeeper that suits us and pulling up a defender that suits us. That's if they were to come out of this window with maybe a centre half and a goalkeeper, I'd be happy with that. If it's a left back and goalkeeper, I can be happy with that. If they come out of this with just a keeper, you're going to be somewhat worried, aren't you? That's not enough, because the whole point of this January transfer window was to bring in a defender. We need a goalkeeper now to go with it. Yang is the biz. He'll boss it. The only reason they come and jump ship is they don't think there is a realistic chance that either go up, they don't go back down and make sense of cups and Euros is enough. Well, that's the thing as well. We haven't seen what we have in a Gunter even. I was talking about Whiteman and Austin, but Gunter, Josh Guehi out on loan at Leyton Orient in League One, all these guys. One of them, this is my attitude. One of them must be somewhat all right. If not, then what's the point of giving Brandon Austin a 5-year contract? He must be somewhat okay at football and somewhat okay as a goalkeeper. That's my thinking, because I think Forster transitions into maybe a number 3 goalkeeper next year. Hell, he may not even be here next season. But surely one of those other two on the bench, one of them is good enough to play minutes at some point, which I think will be Brandon Austin. But surely they're good enough. Since Austin and Whiteman aren't even considered to be playing, what are their jobs at the club really? Training cones? I don't know, mate. I don't know. But we'll see. But anyway, thanks very much for joining me this evening. Go enjoy the rest of your evening. Stop watching me. Go and enjoy the rest of your evenings. Obviously, some football on this evening. Go enjoy the Champions League. And we'll be back tomorrow to give you my final thoughts ahead of the the Roma game. That'll be out tomorrow. And a members-only video out tomorrow. Apologies, should have been today, but it's going to be tomorrow. Thanks very much for joining me. And I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Take care. Peace.